So what's up, everybody? This is D from Brooklyn, chilling in the seclusion of my little fish room, aka the man cave, taking a look at a very overgrown nano reef. The beauty and horror of having a successful tank is controlling and, for the most part, managing your landscape. That includes keeping coral growth under control, getting rid of pests and everything else. So let's take a close look at the tank. Let me do a little zoom action there. First and foremost, you'll see that I got a few cardinals. Yeah, I took advantage of Petco's 50% off, which took place last week. Everything is pretty much ramsacked in those places now. And you'll see that I got 3 cardinals. The other one's pretty small and usually hangs out down there where you can't even see him, but really pretty fish. It's hard to add fish to a system that's been running a long time, especially when you have fish in there that have been in there a long time. But these guys are pretty docile. I'm just going to take this opportunity to take this Astorina starfish. Oh, I dropped him. I'll get out. I got him. Wow, that was good. These guys are the bane of my existence. These little Astorina stars, if you can focus on them. These are the starfish that just pop up like snails. They come up in pieces, but they multiply very fast. So I'm going to throw him in my takeaway cup there and take a look at the very overgrown tank. So those of you that have been following me and know that this tank is all built by me. It's basically a 20-gallon in which I built everything into it. If we swing over here, you'll see that there's no sump. I just basically cordoned off a section. I'll zoom out. Built the overflow. I made a chamber for the heater, the auto top off, and everything else. Let me just swing the camera around, do an adjustment. You'll see the auto top off in there. I have a titanium heater in the bottom, a Via Aqua return pump, and my sea swirl, which is pretty much covered by a giant mushroom, so it's hard to see, but there you go. For those of you that said they had all kind of problems with the swirl, not the sea swirl, but the forgot the name of it. It's a swirling power head adapter that goes on the end. This one's running for about 5 years now with no issues. If I can get you a top view, there it is right there. Makes absolutely no noise, and as long as you clean it on a regular, it does an excellent job at circulating the water. Let me pull back here. And everything is moving. Now, the second part of the circulation puzzle is my Jabo WP25, or is it a WP10? I forget, it's so long, but I believe it's a WP something. Let me see if I can see it. IP3. It's basically the smallest Jabo that they make, and it is running. As you can see, that circulation is crazy. I've just realized that as long as you don't have it on pulse, those pumps tend to last longer than they normally would. Once you use that wave function, it pretty much kills the pump. So that is running non-stop with no pulse feature, just 24/7. And keeps the circulation pretty good. Now, I have been getting some spouts of algae growing up here and there, which I've just been basically pulling out manually. I let it clump up real thick, and then I just pull the whole thing out rather than try to treat it with anything. And that's been doing a good job. I tried to add some bird's nests that I got. Let me zoom in. Got some bird nests from the last auction last month. They lasted about 2 weeks and basically bleached out, so that was an epic fail. The pallies are over here. They're closed up right now because the snail keeps climbing over them, and I'm kind of curious as to what these tentacles are coming out of the rock, so that rock may just get pulled out altogether. Bad thing about bringing rocks from any other system is you never know what the hell is in a rock. And I don't know what the hell tentacle that is. It may be Aptasia trying to, on the DL, spread my tank. So I'll probably yank that rock out and sacrifice those pallies. The star of the show here, of course, is the waving hand zinnia. The waving hand zinnia I have to constantly prune or it will spread like wildfire. It's on my refugium box, which is back there, which is basically a beta box that I adapted by replacing the suction cups with magnets. So that baby is never coming off. There are magnets holding it on so it won't fall off. And I have the J-bow blowing against the wall and forcing water through the back of that box, which works for the most part, but it is tricky to keep that water moving. If you don't keep it moving, it gets stagnant and you get like red algae or dead spots, so you don't want to do that. Now, those of you that are subscribed to my channel, kudos to you guys. You'll know the evolution of this tank. I've had everything in here. I've had LPS, I've had SPS in here, I've had chalices in here over the years. I've pulled things out. Pavona was right here covered with mushrooms now. That kind of was taken over, so I kind of like banged it off and let the mushroom overgrow it, because it was basically killed the chalices and overgrew what I had there before. The coral warfare is real, people. Just like now, you'll see that the second star of my show is basically these mushrooms, which have climbed up the wall and attached to the front glass, which is really awesome in a way. I just love the fact that it established a balance. And when I had my school of mollies, this is my last of the mollies, my female. Other mollies just didn't make it. They were fighting all the time. This one, the female was fighting the male, and it kind of got beat up real bad, and then it died. But they used to sleep down here. I'll move in a little closer. There's a nice little gap under the mushrooms. It's a little pocket of dead space, which is kind of cool. Little shaded spot. And the molly usually sleeps down there, or sleeps on the mushroom, which some fish would say that those mushroom tentacles sting, similar to that of anemones, but these fish are pretty cool with them, as do the cardinals. These pajama cardinals do pretty well. They're actually similar to clownfish in the aspect that they can swim around anemones a lot of the time and not get stung. They like to swim in the spines of urchins as well. My little one is always hard to see. I know he's in there. And there's my other buddy, my little bicolor Blenny. That's his second favorite spot, if I can zoom in. Hard to get him. He likes to sleep there because now his little house is covered in mushrooms, but he usually swims up. If I come close here, he'll swim to his other house. If I give him a little attention, maybe he'll come out. He swims in his other house and kind of perches right where that clown is, but here he goes. No, he's not going to do it. I can tell when he's going to do it, and he's not going to do it now. He's just showing off. But yeah, not a lot of places to sit. He kind of hovers a lot. They just fed a few minutes ago. I fed them all, so it's got a little bit of a gut. And yeah, it's pretty cramped quarters, so he swims, takes a break, and then goes back in his little chill spot, which is right there. Cool, right? And you could tell these mushrooms have completely taken over. I love the mushrooms. They just add that beautiful splash of color that I was missing a while ago. Even the chalices were purple, but nothing captures the purple like a purple mushroom. They're really, really beautiful. I know you guys may be SPS fans, but there's a lot to be said about you soft coral people. We soft coral people, I like all living things, but they just create that motion that people are always looking for when they start a saltwater tank. Really beautiful. And the trick is to keep them under control. When they spread too much, sometimes you just got to get in there with a pair of pliers and plain old fashioned break the rock or scrape them off, which is how I ended up moving them to the other tank, which I will give you a separate update on. But when they get too overcrowded or they clump up, like you'll see this here, they clump up or they establish a little breakaway piece. This is how they spread right there. You'll see that clump in there. They'll release themselves and drift on, and you'll end up with one in another spot. I've been pretty good at catching them before they let go, so I have been keeping close tabs on where they're letting go and going. So, but just kind of keeping the balance in this tank is really tricky. And I've been also, since we are getting on summertime, let me focus here. Since we're getting on summertime, a real trick is the temperature will be going up, and things just plain old fashioned grow different when the temperature changes. When we get those warm spells, the corals kind of close up for a minute, and that's when you start doing your water changes. When the water gets warm, right now my water is pretty warm down here. It's about 79, which is warm. I usually keep these tanks at 75. I don't keep them that warm because I'm here in the basement, but constantly topping off due to the evaporation. The warmer it gets, the more water you start evaporating. It's been kind of signaling to me that summer is coming, and this is why they're starting to drop babies and spread around, and they're spreading all over the place. They tend to spawn themselves in the summer, but the tank's doing real good. I dose it with 2-part bionic about 3 to 4 times a week, not more than that, because these systems are small and I don't have corals that are really demanding. And when you have a small system, you got to be really conscious of dosing. So that is the update on the 20-gallon Brooklyn Nano tank. I believe this is year number 5. Wow, 5 years. Nothing complicated. There is a super small Reef Octopus Nano skimmer, 100-watt titanium heater, and a return pump. That's all my technology. That's the technology that runs it. There's no sump. It's basically flowing into the back and blowing out to the front, and there's your circulation. Nothing complicated, nothing crazy scientific. The apex isn't hooked up to it, but I do have the fish bit. Even though the company's kind of gone hiatus, I have the fish bit beta, the controller, which is basically a smart outlet. Before the rise of smart outlets, which is probably what kind of did a real damage to them coming out, is it's managing the tank. It's basically turning on and off the lights, and that's about it. The probes I'm not using because I've managed that the good old-fashioned way, and that is with test kits. Here's my Red Sea test kit, my pH and alkalinity, which is the main thing I test for, and that's it. So if you're not a subscriber, I'd appreciate you clicking that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up if it ain't too much. If you got a channel, share your channel, because right now we are chilling in the house, kind of being socially responsible, keeping that safe distance, social spacing, or whatever you want to call it. So getting things done around the house, doing those updates, sharing that love. Share your website or YouTube channel below, or check us out on Facebook, where you can also share links to your channel. I love seeing you guys' videos. Nothing complicated, nothing super. Nobody's better than nobody else. Just sharing the love, doing what we love to do, and doing it. So this is D. I'm going to be out. Love, peace, and hair grease. That's me. This is D. See ya.